Oh, this moves.
Yes.
I can scoot. This could be dangerous. Oh dear. The foot's through the and see, like,
my mind just fast forwarded you trying to get up and your foot staying and then like going into this and like a cascade of events. And I was just laughing at a scenario that wasn't going to happen, but could have.
it could. Look, stranger things have happened. I don't own any. I only have these chairs. I actually don't even sit on either of these chairs when I consult. I sit on the purple ball
Yeah.
or I stand.
Okay.
And part of it is because, like, I'm small, so this chair doesn't, it's not the right proportions.
No,
and I look like a little, I just look really funny if I ever consult in this because it looks like, what's that? Is it Star Wars where the guy with the, like, the pinky?
Oh,
and he's really,
no, that's...
or is it something else?
Yeah.
Oh, Austin Powers.
Groovy baby. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But the little bald white guy.
Yeah.
And you know how he's like, he's really teeny tiny.
Yeah.
But I swear he's like sits in big chairs.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like, even though I'm not a bald white man, I am tiny. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing really well. Welcome back to the episode.
Yes.
It's not about our pre-rambles. Hopefully they're left in there.
Yeah,
We should leave
absolutely.
them,
Yeah, we'll leave them in
Need to
there.
know what the situation is over here.
Yeah.
We're doing our best with our new YouTube adventures and podcast studio, aka the office of mine right now. Maybe I should invest in some new chairs. I just hate stuff. I'm such a minimalist.
Same.
I won't even let Bowen get a rug.
You really?
I'm like, unnecessary.
Okay.
Warm your own
Excessive.
feet. Wear socks.
Yeah. Maybe I'll bring stools. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. For anyone who's listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we do have a YouTube channel now, and we actually have about 3 months worth of episodes up there now. It's quite a bit, actually. But also don't get excited and get your hopes up. They're not particularly polished. We're still trying to figure out the best way to do this with the new recording software that we're using and whether we do it from our own homes or together. And anyway, just if you've been here from the beginning, thank you.
Yeah.
Sticking through our teething.
Don't leave now.
Please don't leave now. We're only going to get better, I promise.
Yeah. Well, the only way is up, actually.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get into this episode. So we've done a fair few episodes on skin related issues, including acne. So if this is a topic that you're super keen on, make sure you also go back and listen to some of those. But I wanted to go over a few of the most common tools that I feel like we use in clinic all of the time or recommend, that I actually think several of them you could walk away from this episode and just start implementing ASAP. Because I really feel for my clients, as I know you do, who have acne, because it is such an all-consuming thing. And while I'm sure friends and family do their best to be like, don't worry, nobody's noticing, it's not how you feel when it's your lived experience.
Absolutely. And as someone who did have terrible acne when I was younger, I know what it's like, to the point where when I was 18, I used to go to bed without taking my makeup off. This is my boyfriend's house. And I would lie there and wait until he fell asleep. And then I would lie there and wait another 10 minutes to make sure he was really asleep. And then I would sneak out of bed and go and wash my face, because sleeping in makeup is not good for you. And then I probably didn't sleep that well, because the minute he started to stir in the morning, I was back in the bathroom reapplying, not like a full beat. There was no glam. It was just really like just covering up the blemishes that I didn't feel so self-conscious. And yeah, skin actually was my favorite area to work in for a very long time. I even wrote a book about it. Might even link that in the show notes if you want to check that
I
out.
reckon you should.
But it is something we're both very passionate about, in particular because if you have high blood pressure or high cholesterol, like no one sees that, right? You're not walking around with it hanging out on show. And so there just doesn't seem to be the same kind of level of embarrassment or shame about something that's not working. But when it's on your face, everybody sees it. There's just you can't live life while hiding your face unless you're a bank robber who wears a balaclava.
Yeah, which we don't recommend.
Which we're not suggesting you do that. It really is just something you have to confront every single day. So we will make sure we put the links to our other skin episodes in the show notes too. But we want to talk about just really kind of 5 key tools that can just help you on your journey if you're just getting started. Now, this first one's going to, I think, throw some people for a loop.
Not if they know you.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So we're going to talk
Here's
about...
the thing, you don't know me at all.
Well, I'm going to both recommend for and against blue light here. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, she's thrown a curveball.
Normally, I'm sitting here with my blue light as the devil hat on. And what that's about is just blue light at the wrong time of day and from a less than ideal source will absolutely mess you up, friends. Every single part about your health, well-being, mentally, physically, digestively, hormonally. Unfortunately, our environments are just not conducive to proper cellular signaling. And so blue light at the wrong time of day is, of course, going to affect your hormones, your sleep. It's going to trigger cortisol at a time where, if you're being exposed to blue light in the evenings, at a time where cortisol is supposed to be subsiding almost, all the way down to the bottom of the reference range so that melatonin can be produced. And so the outcome of that is you get dysregulated cortisol or poorly timed cortisol stimulation. Inappropriate cortisol stimulation will affect progesterone production. It will increase androgens, which increases sebum production and also increases the thickening of the skin, which changes the terrain on your skin, the microbiome of your skin, and sets you up. It's one of many contributing factors, of course. It's not the only one, but for bad skin, especially if you are prone to acne like I am. In fact, I've got one little pimple here that's just like starting to go away, which is a stress pimple. More on that later. But all of that to say is you want to really correct your light environment so that you're not being exposed to blue light between sunset and sunrise. And I will attach the blue light guide here that you can download for free if you want to check out how to do that. However, I am going to just throw a little curly one in there and say, within the context of skin therapies, blue light actually helps to kill the bacteria on the skin that can contribute to breakouts. That and radio frequency, which causes ozone production, are actually really powerful. So they're 2 different things. So if you're a beauty therapist or esthetician or MediClinic listening to this and you're like, but we use blue light for acne. When I talk about blue light being bad for skin and hormones, I'm talking about light signals at the wrong time of day. But actually concentrated blue light, whether it's a mask or a wand in the context of a treatment, really helpful. And same with radio frequency, which generates ozone on the skin just to zap any particular breakouts and clear them up a lot more quickly. So that one was a little curly, wasn't it?
I have a question on that.
Yes.
Then if someone is getting those blue light treatments, like concentrated blue light treatments on their face for their acne, do they need to consider booking those appointments in like the first half of the day or like not into the evening, or is it really like a small contribution?
That's a good question, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like I prepared earlier. Actually, it's not. I just thought of it then.
So you know what, though? That's a really good point. It actually doesn't matter when you do it. First of all, it's pretty rare that you'll be treated after 5 p.m. There might be a late night, Thursday night thing, but it's actually directly applied to the skin and to this concentrated area on your face. So it's not something your melanoreceptors are actually picking up in the eyes or even in the skin, actually. So it's not going to significantly shift your circadian biology, even if you were to say get the last appointment at say 4:30 p.m. on an afternoon. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Great. We love less things to worry about, which
Mhm.
actually feeds really nicely into the next point that I would say that I really advocate people working diligently on, which is balancing your blood sugar. So anytime that we're getting big blood sugar fluctuations, or I should say consistently mismanaging our blood sugar to a point where we may be starting to step into some issues with insulin or insulin resistance, what happens when you've got higher or high normal insulin is it's another source of how your androgens can increase. And if you've got high androgens, as many people do with acne, it's going to make getting that under control a lot harder. Probably one of many mechanisms that contribute to how blood sugar imbalances worsen acne. But for the sake of keeping it concise, I'd say that's one that's very relevant to this conversation. But when we're talking about blood sugar balance, which we've done many, many times, and you're probably sick of it now, I don't think that it's not always the diet that's the source of the problem. Sometimes it is. So if you're someone who is going long stretches of time without eating, or if you are having a very carbohydrate heavy diet that's not balanced by adequate protein, fiber, and fat, sure, that's something that you might want to rein in. But if you already feel like you're someone who's, pretty onto it with eating adequate protein, you've got some good fiber in your diet and healthy fats, you're not doing lots of long fasting or skipping meals, then blood sugar imbalances may still be a source of your problem, but it might be coming from other things like lack of quality or quantity sleep, or stress, whether that is, high amounts of physical stress, so overtraining. I actually see a bit of a triad in some people where they have gut issues, acne, and they're like highly stressed from like over exercising and undernourishing themselves, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally. And I really think that that's something else to look at, is being mindful that blood sugar imbalance doesn't just come from food. It comes from the other habits that you have or don't have. And it's not to say that you have to be perfect across the board with all of them, but just maybe reflect on and think about, okay, which one have I massively dropped the ball on? And maybe it is being a little bit less perfect with one thing to allow space to address the other. So, maybe you're all over the dietary stuff, but you're managing your stress is really needs some love. It might be actually pulling back from being so perfect with your diet, still have those good foundations in there, but to just allow some capacity to address the stress side of things, because, for better or worse, everything touches everything.
I love that call. You said that originally, and I have borrowed it a bazillion times since then.
That everything touches
Everything
everything.
It really does, and I think that's what makes functional medicine so powerful, but also so tricky, because there isn't, this isolated, compartmentalized, pieces of the body or systems. They literally are a web, a really complicated web.
Yeah, I think also, I don't know if you find this clinically, but I really do find that some of my clients with acne, in particular, because they're aware, often they are very aware of the fact that their diet impacts their acne, it becomes, like pretty much an obsession, and like this source of like, unless I'm perfect, I'm going to be ruining my skin. And it's to the point where I've had clients that won't eat out at any cafes or restaurants because they're paranoid about the seed oils that often cafes and restaurants use to cook in, and then that impacting their skin, or just they won't have any kind of little treats here or there, even if it's like relatively low in sugar and has no other things that are going to trigger them, because it's like one step outside of that perfection way of eating, or that ideal way of eating is going to create a skin flare. And then often a skin flare happens, but is it the food or is it the stress that's created from that? And I really do think that what you do most of the time does make most of the difference, but also the attitude you do it with makes a big difference as well. And while I definitely think staying away from sugar if you've got issues with acne, as often as you can is a very good idea, I don't think, and I'd be curious to know what your opinion is here, I don't think that eating out, on average once a week, or even if they're cooking in seed oils, is going to be the thing that makes or breaks your acne journey.
Absolutely not. It really isn't. And this is someone who's had, a lifelong journey with it, and also really for a long period of time was specializing in this area. And what I can tell you, I fully agree, is what you do most of the time that matters most. And whilst diet does make a difference, it doesn't make as much of a difference as you think. It's when stress compromises your digestive capabilities, your detoxification capabilities, and your hormone signaling. Here's just a very personal example. If I am not stressed, or if I'm taking care of my nervous system and I'm in a season where things are quite relaxed, I can have dairy protein. I can eat cheese. I don't really do much in the way of sugar, but I could have sugar, like intermittently, not going to affect my skin at all. But in a season when I'm really stressed and that's influencing my androgen production, my digestion, my microbiome, and all of those things. I remember very early on when I was like 19, I ate like a piece of cheese, like the size of a pea. Let's call it like a tiny little cocktail wedge. And I had
You were mouse? Why did you only get such a small piece of cheese?
I don't know. I think because then
Things
I
were tough
knew
for a 19-year-old Amie.
I was on a budget. I think I'd already worked out that dairy was triggering my acne.
Yeah.
And the example I'm giving you is because I ate this tiny piece of cheese thinking surely this isn't going to do something. And I ended up with a cyst right here on my face, the size of a pea. And it was there for 3 months.
Did the cheese get under your skin?
The cheese got under my skin. Oh,
it's actually migrated.
It literally did. It literally did.
She forgot to swallow it.
Yeah. It just got stuck in my cheek and then popped out there.
Maybe you could get seconds when you burst it.
Maybe. Just go, yeah. It's like a squirrel. I'm coming back for that later.
Yeah.
Gross.
Hope no one's eating.
I know. Sorry about that. That went down a real segue.
Yeah.
Well, bringing it back, what I can tell you now is I could eat half a wheel of brie and not break out if my nervous system's in good shape, my sleep is good, my digestion's good. And so this is also why there are so many studies that say, dairy doesn't affect your skin versus yes, it does. Chocolate does, chocolate doesn't. It's yes, it does, no, it doesn't. This back and forth. There are absolutely foods that will trigger breakouts. There are absolutely foods that you have likely identified trigger your breakouts. And also it's like the terrain under which you're consuming them that influences often quite significantly how well you tolerate it or not. And so I do encourage clients to, remove those things that can be androgenic, trigger insulin production, at least for a short period of time while we stabilize everything else. But typically speaking, most of my clients can go back eating those things and not break out once all of those other pieces are in place. And so I'm sharing that really from a place of, I think the stress of being incredibly rigid actually just can make skin worse as well. The impact of not being able to socialize and eat out. And one meal that's had seed oils in it or a bit of dairy is not going to derail all of your efforts. So definitely, I'm not saying don't take your diet seriously, but just put it into perspective with everything else, because it's not the thing that's going to make or break whether you have great skin.
Yeah. Glad to hear that. And the real win here is just hearing that you've managed to get to a place where you can afford a whole chunk of brie. So
thank you.
Congrats.
So thank you very much. Celebrating.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next one, which
yes.
is red light. So tell us the things. Do you know for the light? I actually have a red light Anerum for light that I bought originally for my mum. It's quite expensive. And for whatever reason, I just cannot seem to get into a consistent routine of sitting in front of it. It's not that hard, and it's literally sitting in my lounge room. So I'm hoping, even though I don't have acne, you can just tell us some benefits of red light again in my ear holes, so that I'll sit in front of that goddamn thing that cost me thousands of dollars for my mum.
You know what? That's the reason why I bought a small handheld one.
Yeah.
And there's pros and cons to both, but with your one, it's like you've got to actually position yourself in front of it, whereas I can sloth on the couch and move the light around. You know, you could actually get a bit of a stand for it and just kind of roll it over you on the couch, but you're a minimalist and Bowen can't have a rug, so
no stands.
No stands for you.
Solution, I could get Bowen to hold it over me.
Huh.
No rug, no extra things required.
How's about that,
just
Bowen?
Some man muscles.
Just some man muscles. Wow, that sounds rather appealing. So.
And maybe I could just tell him a little white lie and be like, you still get the benefits from it by standing behind it and holding it.
Let's hope he doesn't listen to this episode.
He won't. Right.
So look, okay, well, I think we haven't told you why you'd want to use red light. I will do that in a minute, but I'm just thinking out loud, if anyone's in your position and done the same, I think the trick is to locate it somewhere where it's an easy yes. And I know it's probably not the greatest thing to put it in your bathroom. But here's what I would probably do is I'd probably bring it into the bathroom and put it on so I could stand naked while I'm doing my face or hair, so that I'm not having to specifically strip off and sit in front of it at a separate time of day. Yeah. You could also leave it by the bed and do it last thing before bed. But the thing is, red light, again, comes from the sun. And so when I was recovering from breast implant illness, I used my red light any time of day or night, and it was great. And I didn't notice it affected my circadian biology. But if we want to be specific about it, red light is available from sunrise through to sunset and not in between. And so doing it last thing at night may not be the best idea. But anyway, why do we need red light? So humans evolved to live outdoors, and our cellular biology receives all kinds of signals from the sun through the various wavelengths that it produces. And red light specifically, along with infrared, that there's various properties, but helps to improve mitochondrial function. It reduces inflammation, improves microcirculation. And so red light, there's a lot of different benefits, but if we're thinking about the skin specifically, it's anti-aging. It helps to improve.
Say no more. I'm going downstairs.
I knew that would get you. Yeah. Amazing for, optimizing connective tissue and reducing, the breakdown of collagen, elastin, tendons, ligaments, all of that sort of thing. But basically, the circulation to our skin is heavily influenced by our nervous system and hormones to a degree. And by applying red light to your face, or if you have acne elsewhere, to those other areas, you're actually reducing local inflammation, which reduces redness, swelling, pain, and discomfort. It improves the microcirculation, which means your immune cells can get in there and clear any little pockets of infection a bit quicker and heal up a bit quicker and reduce the likelihood of scarring. And also, red light has a very soothing effect on the nervous system, which can help with cortisol, like balancing out cortisol production and bringing you into a parasympathetic nervous system state, which also then the flow-on effect of that is less oil production. If you're an oily girl like me, should we swap red lights? I think I need a bigger one.
We are very opposite in our problems. I'm like, I'm a very dry person.
Yeah,
and you're an oily person.
I'm an oily girly,
and I just you're not a minimalist or a hoarder. You just you'll make things comfortable in your space, whereas I'm like, don't need it, not going to get it. So I feel like we should swap devices.
Maybe we should. We'll see if that works out a little better. But anyway, red light, amazing. I mean, this is probably not something you're unaware of. Red light masks, etc., are really popular at the moment. The masks are nice because as long as you buy a good quality one, because they do make it easy for you just to wrap on your face while you're catching up on a show or doing emails or whatever it is. I like my portable one because I can use it anywhere on my body and it's handheld and I don't have to necessarily strip off. I can shove it down my top or up my t-shirt. But regardless of how you use it, it is really healing to the skin and also to the rest of your body, and it's often used in skin treatments for that reason too.
I love it. Sold. Going downstairs to use mine later.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to another one, which we've alluded to a little bit just through the threads of the conversation already, but it's addressing your gut microbiome. So if you have any gut symptoms or issues, it is something that until you clear that up or address it, you're very unlikely to get a full resolution with your acne or get your skin to the best place possible. And part of the reason that is because not only is what's happening in your gut microbiome going to be influencing your skin microbiome, which then influences acne, your gut is also the place where you either absorb or don't absorb nutrients, which are going to affect your skin health, like zinc as an example, B vitamins, etc. It's also the place where you, produce stomach acid if you've got good gut health in order to break down your proteins and activate or access some of those nutrients that you're consuming. And it's also somewhere where, a good 70 to 80% of your immune system lies or surrounds. And so there's a constant communication between the two. And, where there's involvement of immune signaling or inflammation as it relates to your version of acne or other skin issues, that's going to be really relevant. So it's not that all acne is caused from a gut perspective, but I would say that in the majority of cases that I've seen, putting some attention or treatment focus towards the gut is really helpful in getting more out of the result. And I even can think of a client recently where actually the reason she came to see me was for acne, and we had a plan of addressing her digestive system first before moving into doing some more work on her hormones if needed. And we got through the digestive component of it and, no more acne. So, and that's not everyone's story. There is, I would say, a lot of times when further stuff needs to be done, but it's just an example of how important that gut microbiome stuff can be.
It is. I can't think of one acne patient I've had that had a perfect gut. I mean, no one really does.
No.
So I guess that's not a surprise. But that's always the first step. And the kind of moving on from that, anytime there's inflammation in your gut, the body downregulates, or the liver specifically downregulates phase 2 detoxification. I'm getting a little nerdy for just a moment, but if we think about how the liver clears exogenous toxins, so chemicals and things that we've either, drank, ate, breathed, or put on our body. And also our body produces metabolites every day, waste products that have to be eliminated. As soon as there's gut inflammation, the liver's like, oh no, I can't flush the toilet because the pipes are damaged. I better just hold on to this for a little bit until things improve. And of course, if you're not actively fixing the problem, it doesn't. And so liver support's usually tied up in there as well, which is where coffee enemas come in. Da, 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 da.
I know, look at that transition. Tell us about coffee enemas.
So look, I mean, we have a lot of poo talk on the podcast. If you're new here, sorry about that. But if you're not into it, we're probably not the podcasters for you.
To move right on.
Move right on. And look, I have this conversation a couple of times a month with clients where I'm like, how would you feel about sticking coffee up your butthole? And look, it's honestly not on the top of my to-do list either. It actually took me about 23 years to try one after learning about them in naturopathic college, because, I mean, there's just so many other ways you can support your health that don't include doing that. However, what I can also tell you is that a coffee enema is one of the most powerful ways to boost glutathione and detoxification from your liver, like better than any supplement or herb I've ever taken. And when I went on a health retreat to Thailand and was doing them daily, I very quickly got used to them. It was an absolute nightmare in the beginning. By the way, there is a learning curve. Please know it's awkward and stressful in the beginning, for the most part, but they are incredible at supporting your liver to actually eliminate toxins through the bile. By improving bile flow, you improve the pH of your gut, which improves the microbiome of your gut, which also improves the motility, which improves your elimination. Like, the whole thing just starts to get an upgrade instantly, and they can be utilized for a lot of other things. Like, I've used them in mold detox. They can be helpful in any kind of toxic overload or recovery, or even just bringing glutathione up as an antioxidant. But when it comes to acne, I wish I had utilized this or had known how powerful it was earlier, because I probably would have done them sooner.
When you get people to do them, is because obviously it is like a detoxification tool to a degree. Do you have like a certain frequency in a week that you wouldn't recommend going under or over? Obviously it's individual, but is there like a range?
Yeah, look, I think whenever I'm talking to clients, just like you, we're giving you personal recommendations based on what we know about your case, and we're available to support you so that you can give us feedback on how it's going. But if you're just going to listen to this podcast and go and try one, my guidance would be start with one a week for now. And what I would encourage you to do is consider taking electrolytes on that day, just before or just after, because you lose a bit of fluid. And also taking some kind of binder, and activated charcoal is just really gentle, really cheap, really easy. So it can collect the toxins that are coming through. Once a week's nice, twice a week if you're super keen. I wouldn't do any more than that without professional supervision. That being said, our favorite brand, Happy Bum, has got a little enema school on their website, which, if you've never done one before, takes you step by step how to prepare it, how to actually do it, how to support yourself. But that would be, I guess, the general overview.
I love it. My mum actually helped me do my first one when I was maybe 21, 20.
Really?
My mum. What a trooper.
She's amazing.
I was like way too old for my mum to help me do a coffee enema.
But she got in there anyway.
Anyway, I returned the favor, not through a coffee enema, but when she was going through her cancer journey, she won't mind me telling this story, by the way. She had all these like sore from chemo, had all these skin sores pop up on her body, and there were like several like on her bum. And so I'd go over there with like one of those cotton tips, and like I'd just be like behind with the cotton tips, like dabbing
Swabbing.
dabbing like, the cream on there, and we just had a good giggle. We cope through hard times through humor in my family, so we just had a good giggle at how the tables have turned. I'm like, well, shout out if you need me to wipe your bum. Just
here for you.
Yeah, gave her a sponge bath. It was just very, So anyway, if you need to ask your mum to do one and she's available, then go for it. But I actually think the idea of them is so much more intimidating than actually doing them.
Yes.
It's, and I say that as someone who has made some mistakes with them that you'll have to go back and listen to the podcast to find on that treasure hunt. But yeah, we're definitely a fan of them, and I'm pretty sure we'll have a discount code for Happy Bum that we can put in the show notes as well. But yeah. hopefully that's been supportive. Please make sure that you come and support us on YouTube as well. God, it does actually legitimately really help. So that's why
Yeah.
we're doing it, and we're hoping that you'll come along with us for the ride. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up?
I think that's actually, you know what I will say just before we say goodbye? We were talking about how important gut health is. When this episode comes out, the gut reset will still be available, probably for just another couple of weeks. And that is a DIY, self-guided, all the recipes, menu plans, some optional supplements. If you are recognizing or suspecting that your gut health is contributing to your skin stuff and you're like, I'd just like to see what happens if I do something just entry level, this would be ideal for you to give a go. So we'll also put that link in the show notes for you too.
Amazing.
Yes.
Great idea.
All
All right,
right.
friends, we will see you again next week.
All
Thanks for
right.
coming.
Bye.